This week on Illegal Aliens, Michael Guerin dreams of semicircles, Alex Whitman continues his losing streak at dodgeball, and do we need to be worried about Max's lung capacity to breathe on Earth? We're looking at Missing, episode 5 of season 1 of Roswell. I'm Chris.
And I'm Claire, and this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast. Missing first aired on November 3rd, 1999.
It was directed by David Semmel, who we last saw directing for episode 3, Monsters.
And the episode was written by John Harmon Feldman, who'd previously written for The Wonder Years and Dawson's Creek, and went on to write for True Calling and No Ordinary Family.
Cool. So before we start with the recap, I would like to take a little missing business and go back to nominate episode MVPs for the first 3 episodes of the show, since we only introduced that last week. I'm a completist and want to have a complete record.
It's fine by me. I am also a completist. So if we start with the pilot.
Yes. So with the pilot, I would tend to say either Sherry Appleby or I don't really want to go to the writers too much, but we could consider Jason Katims for the pilot, I think.
I think we could. As pilots go, it's a really good pilot.
Okay.
But then, too, character-wise, Liz is capable, competent. We get a good sense of all of them, though. So maybe...
Yes.
They're incredibly well drawn.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think for standout, I would have to give it to the writing on this occasion.
I think that's fair. It's so good all across the board.
Right.
That I think it's either pick everyone or go to the writers.
Yes. Okay. So that's one. For the morning after...
Or does what it says on the tin.
Yes. Lean towards Michael. It's a good episode to showcase Brendan Fehr.
I was going to say exactly that.
All right. That's pretty easy then.
Very short discussion, that, yeah.
Yes. And Monsters, I would have to put forward Majandra Delfino. Maria sells that episode very well.
She really does.
Okay.
Okay, that's that taken care of then. Let's start the recap.
All right. Liz walks down the street at night, all alone, and hears someone laughing in the distance. She turns around but sees nobody. The alien mannequins in store windows make her shift uneasily, and when tires screech on the road, she runs down an alley and hurries up the fire escape of the crash down. In a room, she opens a drawer on her nightstand and starts frantically pulling things out of it.
She rings the door at Maria's and explains that her journal is missing, which is a problem because she wrote everything in that journal, including all of Max's secrets. The next day at school, Maria tries to reconstruct the crime, suggesting that Alex had a motive and an opportunity. Liz tries to tell Maria that there's no crime and the journal is only misplaced. But she's worried about how to tell Max. Liz tries to break the news after meeting Max by the vending machines, but Michael interrupts and Liz wanders off.
Topolsky notices Liz worrying by herself in an empty classroom and tries to get her to open up by acting friendly, but Liz hurries off, insisting that everything's fine. Maria comes to Alex, apologizes about how secretive she and Liz have been lately, and tries to ask about the journal, but Alex recognizes the accusation and gets defensive before storming off.
Topolsky spots Alex taking some frustrations out on the lockers and invites him to have a chat in her office. With a little charm and flattery, she gets Alex to share that the journal has gone missing and offers to talk to Liz and Maria about it on Alex's behalf. After Alex leaves the office, Topolsky calls in and asks for backup.
In the schoolyard, Kyle approaches Liz to ask if she was with Max now. She says no and asks him how to understand how difficult the situation is for her now, but Max says that not needing to try is the best thing about their breakup.
In the UFO Center, Milton finds Max reading his books and suggests a few, including Atherton's Among Us. And then Liz arrives to talk to Max. After a lot of painful small talk, Liz tells Max about the journal, hinting how much about him she's written in it, and finally confessing that the journal is misplaced. She assures him she'll find it, promising that they'll have a good laugh at that point.
At home, Liz searches everywhere she can think of for the diary. Her mom comes through the room, mentioning that Alex calls and suggests that Liz isn't eager to return the call. Liz starts to cross-examine her mom about that, asking how she came to that impression and almost saying that it sounded like mom read the journal before catching herself and apologizing.
Max goes to the crashdown with Isabel and Michael, reading the Atherton UFO book while Kyle comes up to deliver an ominous warning. Max goes upstairs to see Liz and tells her that Kyle stole the journal. Liz says that he couldn't have, but when Liz whisks him off to her bedroom so that her mom won't see them together, Max gets a flash from a CD case and assures her that Kyle was in her bedroom.
Liz goes to the park to meet Kyle. She thanks him for returning her CD, and Kyle explains that Liz's father let him inside the house. Liz asks if Kyle is still looking for answers to her secrets, and says that she needs him to return what he took, but Kyle turns away from her with a sarcastic quip.
Topolsky briefs two mysterious men on the missing journal, saying that it's the most credible and promising evidence of alien activity she's heard of. She suspects Kyle is involved with the diary as well.
Meanwhile, Michael comes to Max's house in the middle of the night with a drawing of what he saw when he touched the key, which has been coming back to him in his dreams. Max points out that Michael just drew a semicircle, but Michael goes to art class to work on the picture more, and keeps drawing in every spare moment, filling in the area below the semicircle with interlocking shapes.
One of Michael's pictures is shown in a school art show, frustrating Isabel because she's afraid Michael is giving away some alien secret he doesn't understand. The teacher is also frustrated with Michael's narrow focus and encourages Michael to try drawing the human form. In his speech, he describes Michael's pictures as geodesic domes, a kind of postmodern house before Michael's time.
Max drives Liz to Kyle's house, hanging back to let her go to the door first, but when she finds the door is open and the house seems empty, he urges her inside to search. They find nothing useful, although Max is bothered by a sense that they're not truly alone, and when Liz sees Kyle's car returning, they flee out the back door together.
Outside the school the next day, Max tells Isabel and Michael about the missing journal, and Isabel starts to panic. Michael just gets a thoughtful look for a moment.
Michael comes to the crashdown to speak with Liz after the restaurant is closed. At first, she thinks that he's come because he's angry at her over the diary and losing it, but slowly Michael admits that he was the one to steal it, because he wondered how much about them Liz had written down. He returns the journal and warns Liz to protect it better from now on.
Liz returns to the UFO Center to tell Max that the journal is back, but doesn't mention Michael, just says that a friend returned it to her at the crashdown. He asks to read what she wrote about him, but she says that it isn't a good idea for him to see how she feels about him.
Back at the school, Michael complains about not knowing where to go next with the key and his flashes of the dome, and Max tells Isabel that the journal is safe. As Max and Michael are about to leave, Isabel flips through the Atherton book and then calls them back excitedly. On the back cover flap is a photo of the author at his home, a geodesic dome. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I think it all works pretty well.
Doesn't it, though? It fits together really nicely.
Yes. Pretty well done thriller/mystery. It's not really a traditional mystery because it's not playing fair with the audience. We didn't see that scene of Michael watching her at the crashdown at the beginning, which is really what we'd need to kind of figure it out beforehand.
Yes. No, it's funny. We sort of alternate between a Golden Age detective mystery and a thriller, as you say.
Right.
We go so far as to actually invoke Control, who, for anyone who's keeping up with the George Smiley references, no, that's really just me. Control is the head of the circus.
Right, okay.
Who specializes in, I don't know,
right.
Running things.
Yes.
That made me laugh when it came up. I thought, I doubt that's deliberate, but I wish it were.
Right, yes.
Topolsky seems to be the one that's in the thriller story. Everybody else is in the locked room mystery of Liz's missing diary.
Yeah. Yes, and I did like the fact that we're finally getting to see a little bit more of Topolsky's agenda, and the two fellow agents or backup that she calls, and her little bit about, this is the best evidence I've found since I've joined the unit, which makes me wonder exactly how long she has been hunting aliens now.
Well, yes, because I'm sort of with the agents when they go, really? You called us down here for a teenage girl's diary?
Yeah.
And, I mean, not only that, but what specifically makes her think Liz is journaling about aliens? Did she mention them off camera? Because she's not wearing the t-shirt, and she's certainly not mentioned them where we can hear her.
Right.
I don't think, not to Topolsky.
Right. I always interpreted it as just kind of that she has gotten that good at reading body language and understanding Liz's reactions.
Well, that's entirely possible. We've said before, Liz cannot tell a lie.
Yes.
Neither can Maria this week. Poor Alex. She certainly can't play Miss Marple.
No, she is not at all good at subtle, at least at this point.
No. Now, if we'd left the hunting the diary to Alex, I feel like we might actually make progress.
Yes. If he'd been on the inside on this one, it would have probably gone through very differently.
Sadly, he's bogged down in McCarthyism.
Yes, which was a very interesting
Yeah, it manages.
reference in kind of the paranoia theme of the week, I guess.
It's a very fun, relevant aside. Good night and good luck, everyone. And, well, hopefully the diary turns up, yeah.
Yes. And speaking of Topolsky, I did find it was very interesting how her image seemed to be very different this week. In both the scenes with Liz and with Alex, she seemed to be very soft and feminine and kind of almost a quiet kind of femme fatale.
Yes, she's sort of channeling one of those Raymond Chandler women, isn't she? Or in
Yes.
Bridget O'Shaughnessy in The Maltese Falcon, one of these very elegant, poised, but dangerous women.
Yes.
Because, really, as lines go, I'm not only a guidance counsellor, will not endear you to Liz.
No.
Not sure it would endear her to me.
And I very much like to get in with the mystery thing, how we have Michael so occupied with something else throughout the whole of the episode, to the point where we wonder if he actually found time to read much of the journal.
Yes. You do rather. I mean, I don't know. He reads enough of it to get a sense of who Liz is.
Yes.
But the other thing I wondered about when we were doing that flashback that must have broken at least one, if not more, of the Detection Club rules of good mystery fiction.
Yes.
Can Michael read from that great distance? Or can he just detect a bad lie when he's given one? Because it's shot in a way that suggests he can read it.
Yeah, I would probably not suggest that he was reading actually from that angle. It's possible that he, had actually gotten up and looked over her shoulder a little, and we don't see that.
Which, entirely possible at this point. But no, if you were to suggest to me that he could, I think I'd just add it up as another alien power.
Possibly, yes.
But no, I think you're right.
But I would think that I was going to say that I think that he was, reading a reaction when he actually talked to her, and probably also, reading her body language as she was actually writing, and also to a certain extent, who exactly would do homework in a diary like that?
I don't know. I had exercise books, but yeah. Michael and small talk, apparently not things that mix well.
True. And I did kind of like Michael's motivation for the theft, which I think partly was about actually reading and trying to find out how much he'd put into it. Although it wasn't mentioned, I also wondered if he was kind of doing like the practical test of Liz's security, seeing how difficult it would be for someone else to steal the diary.
Oh, that's a thought. Well, he does pull that out at the end, doesn't he? Get better locks for your human intruders.
Yes, which gives us that great shot at the end where she's put the diary through the hole where she removed the brick, and you see her out through that hole.
Oh, that was a great shot. No, and I think it continues to live there through the show run, doesn't it?
Possibly. I don't remember if we see it there before, or see it there later, but...
No, I really liked that whole Liz and Michael scene at the end. I thought, although the only thing that jumped out to me, I think, was Michael's use of could have put us in an awful spot sounded straight out of Lord Peter Wimsey, and anyone less like him than Michael. I cannot think of. But if we're channeling a Golden Age detection thing.
Yes.
Why not?
And we will find out later, or in not too long a time, that Michael does have some very interesting reading habits of his own. So,
He does. We can talk about those when we get to them. Yeah.
yes. And I always liked the fact that that Liz does keep Michael's secret, and as far as we know, keeps it throughout the run of the show.
Yes. Although I did wonder when she said, oh, it was just a good friend returned to the journal, that Max didn't get a bit spikier.
Yeah.
Because it could have been anyone.
Yes. And especially that he didn't ask, oh, did this friend read your journal?
Yes. Or that Isabel didn't.
Right.
Because she very much gets the wind up, and understandably.
Yes.
I was a bit surprised, actually, that Michael's non-response didn't alert the other two.
Yes.
This is Michael, go in all guns blazing.
Yes.
Sitting there quietly. Oh, the journal's missing,
Yes.
is it? Jolly good. Here's a
Yes.
geodesic dome.
Yes. Whereas, retroactively, I can almost hear the words going through his head. Oh, the journal. I knew there was something I forgot to do.
That's what I meant to do when I woke up the other night at 3 a.m.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I will actually have to edit myself or we'll lose our clean rating.
Right.
Right.
Oh dear.
Yes. But I do love the opening sequence about kind of how Liz is starting to feel this sense of menace even before she realizes that the diary is gone.
Yes, that was interesting. She's very obviously afraid of something.
Right.
I'm intrigued as to what it is, because it's presumably not the aliens. Although Roswell does do a very good line in Alien Paraphernalia, as we know.
Yes. Well, the way I always interpreted that is kind of partly informed by her two bookending voiceovers about the notion of kind of with this secret she sees shadows all around who want to know that secret.
Yes, yeah, I suppose what she talks about at the end, the more you know, the more you get drawn out into the world, the bigger your world gets.
Yes.
The less contained, yeah.
And the bigger world gets, the bigger your problems get, as she says. Yes.
Yes, that's the rest of it, yeah. I think also, I noticed when Liz is in the U of O Center, is this the first time we give the Flashes their name outright?
Yes. Yes.
Because we've seen them before, but I think this is the first time we textually address what they are.
Right. And it seems a little odd that Max should have to explain what they are as opposed to just what their name is, considering that they've been through exchanging flashes in the pilot.
Yeah, that's true. Liz has seen them, hasn't she? Yeah, that's. I do like, though, that even after he's explained them, she doesn't buy that Kyle was responsible for the diary, really.
Yes. And score some points for her intuition because he was not involved.
He wasn't. Although, what on earth is that thing with the bizarre musical cue that they find in the house? Or we see in the house? Do you know what I mean? As they're leaving and Max senses they're not alone.
Right. I assume that was Topolsky's friends who were also breaking into Kyle's house.
Okay, that would make sense. It didn't look like a human. That must have been the screen angle.
Right.
But now I'm really wondering about Topolsky, because apparently they're not clever enough, her agents, to detect the presence of two teenagers. Or else they're risking them taking the diary with them. Who knows?
Right. Yes. I assume that they'd already done a thorough enough search that they were just kind of watching to see how Max and Liz would react.
I like that theory better. That makes a lot more sense.
Though you would also think that they would at least lock the deadbolt behind them when they came in.
You'd think.
And there's also, I think, the moment where Max sees a picture of Liz and Kyle
Liz and
together
Kyle,
in
yeah.
Kyle's room. And I'm not quite sure exactly what we're supposed to get from that.
I don't know. I felt like that, if anything, should have triggered a flash.
Right.
More than the returned CD.
Yeah.
But we're still getting our sense of how they fit into the Roswell world.
We are,
so
yes.
we can watch for that.
We can. But yes, I do kind of love the... Yeah, I think the reference to McCarthyism is very well done here with kind of Liz cross-examining, or Maria cross-examining Alex and Liz cross-examining her mother.
Yes. Yeah, it's, we heighten that, well, paranoia, for lack of a better word, all through the episode.
Yes. Yes.
Tension, that's what I was searching for.
Yes. We kind of, with it, there comes kind of almost this sense of dread of Liz fearing what might happen if the journal really does fall into somebody who means ill for Max.
Yes. It's interesting that even after she gets it back, she has the scientists need to keep writing it, to keep updating.
Yes. Yep.
Because she's right when she says to Michael, it could have destroyed you.
Right.
Do we think, too, I mean, I'm just thinking aloud now as we're talking about it, is there a sense in which Michael maybe partly takes the journal, partly to see whether or not Liz is trustworthy, but also to see whether or not she has more answers for them?
Oh.
I mean, we know she's good at science, and I think he must by now, too.
Right.
It just occurred to me as we were discussing, I thought, I wonder if that's part of it. But if it is, we don't address it.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're getting to that point yet, although we kind of will.
We're starting to with that.
Something like that a bit later.
Yeah,
yes.
The fixation on the geodesic dome is really the beginning.
Yes, yes. Yes, poor Isabel doesn't really have much to do this episode other than complain.
She really doesn't. But what she does do, she does very well, yeah.
She does, yes.
Very much the aggrieved sister in this instance, I think.
Yes.
What you were going to say...
To a certain extent, the show is still trying to balance all the characters. We've got a stronger role for Alex and Kyle than in some of the other ones, so Isabel suffers for that, I think.
Yes, my notes do have, look, we remembered Alex!
We did.
I've missed him.
Oh, yes.
I do feel bad for him, too, perpetually on the outer edge of that loop.
Yes, yes. I really did like Michael's B-plot with trying to figure out what exactly this picture is from his dreams, and the scene of him painting all by himself in the art room with the headphones on and the hip-hop blaring, and the teacher looking in through the window and just shaking his head.
Yes. Yeah, nice to see Michael enjoying something, having a hobby, I guess, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And at the very least, it's got to take Topolsky off his back. If she was serious about
Probably,
suspending
yes.
him.
Right. So you do have to wonder exactly what kind of marks he's going to get for this series of domes.
You do, really. When we drew fruit, you drew that. And when we drew the human body, you drew that. And
Yes.
have you thought about drawing, I don't know, anything else?
Yes. Yes, and of course the stick figure drawing for the statue was hilarious.
It never gets old, that shot.
Yes.
You expect the beginnings of brilliance, and there is the stick figure.
Yeah. Yeah, but I did think it was interesting, that kind of pushback between Isabel and Michael, and especially kind of Michael's thing of, how can this hurt us if it doesn't mean anything to me?
Yes. And also, Max's comeback when they're having that discussion, he says, yes, I saved Liz's life, I wasn't dabbling in the arts, and he manages to make it sound just slightly less awful than murder.
Right.
You think, well, okay.
Yes.
I get that they're not comparable things, but neither is this the great evil you're painting it as.
Yes, they could both stand to give each other a little break for their outside interests.
Yeah. But it's an interesting...
And then,
Go on?
yeah, and then Michael does kind of get this context for what he's been drawing from the outsider, the art teacher.
And that doesn't make any more sense.
No. Not until Isabel comes across the final clue.
Yes, that's perhaps the one time we give her something to do that's actually productive in the episode.
Yes. She provides the sequel hook for next episode.
She does. She does at that.
Yes.
Actually, I quite like that after spending all week, or whatever it is, with these two men who are preoccupied in their various pursuits, the Among Us and the geodesic, she looks, oh, that's how this all works together then.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, they have their two fixations, and she comes up with a synthesis.
Yeah, she's sufficiently on the outside that she can look at it dispassionately and go, aha, they do fit.
Yes. Yes, and I have to admit, I was a little struck by that one quote that he gives of Atherton about saying that the aliens would have the lung capacity or brain capacity, and was like, okay, exactly what are you basing that on?
Who knows? Although Milton did say, didn't he, that the Atherton book was slightly odd.
Yes. Fringe and outsider. I think it's quite possible that they simply wrote that to be about as ridiculous as they could pull off.
I think you're right. Just how over the top can we get this?
Yes.
Yes, and speaking of Milton, he's got an honest-to-God library, complete with alphabetized shelves. In that little tiny back room.
Yep.
Probably stacks in a card catalogue, too, if I went looking.
Probably. But yes, it kind of speaks to his systemized mind, I think.
It does, and just the extent of this obsession, it's vast.
Yes. Yep.
One ice cream parlor photograph, and suddenly I had no idea there was so much writing on aliens.
Oh, yes. I want to think that he was able to gather it in the days before Amazon became a thing.
Yes, he also has what looks like whole collections of periodic tables, or of periodicals, that's what I mean. I did used to use a library once.
Okay.
Well, what they looked like to me was...
Collections of periodic tables would be very interesting.
That would be... Yes, I'd love to know what he was using those. I mean, I'm sure one would come in useful. Well, no, what they looked like to me was...
here we have the
19... But they can't be that.
Yes. I was going to say, and here we have the 1959 edition, which shows the old name for technetium.
Indeed. You'd have to have the 1945 one too, surely.
Oh, yes. Yes, when plutonium made its big splash.
Yes.
So I think that we've covered all of the big thematic material that I can think of.
I think that's probably the case, yeah. Shall we move on to the ratings? Or no, it's our new installment now, isn't it?
Yes, it's MVP time.
MVP time. Who?
And I would have to say it would have to be Brendan Fehr again.
I think it does. This is really his episode,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes. If only because he pulls off that kind of both plot lines thing so well.
He really does. Whether it's geodesic domes or diaries or whatever.
Yes.
Well, I think in that case we can now move on
To the ratings.
ratings. What would you give this episode?
And, 4 alien masks? I think 4 alien masks sounds good.
4 alien masks is good. I was thinking 1 stick figure and 3 charcoal drawings. Probably
okay.
averages about the same.
Yes. Okay. So if you agree or disagree with us, you can get in touch by Twitter at AliensCast, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/AliensCast, or visit our blog at alienscast.com.
If you'd enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review over on iTunes and help other Roswellians find us. Our theme music is Epic Trailer Intro by Honey Lemon.
This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Find out more by searching for Creative Commons. I'm Chris Culworth.
And I'm Claire, and this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast. Join us next Monday, May 29th, 2017, for our first double episode, where we combine Episode 6, 285 South, with Episode 7, River Dog, in a single podcast.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be a fun episode, and Maria deciding that Michael is the last alien on Earth she wants to be abducted by.